I am so excited. Our next speaker is a very special one. Cindy Ann Olson is not only the founder of the Natural Health Collaborative, but she's the force behind this very summit. And I'm so excited and privileged to introduce her. Cindy empowers cooperation, communication, and collaboration among natural health experts. She promotes growing and finding plants, crafting natural remedies and lifestyles. Cindy Ann Olson is also a passionate master gardener, natural lotion and potion creator, and an enthusiastic advocate of a natural and healthy lifestyle. With her extensive knowledge in gardening, Cindy propagates plants and edible flowers, making her own soil, and she saves seeds year round. Her love of the earth and a love for the earth extends well beyond her garden. Her true calling lies in assisting individuals who feel exhausted and overwhelmed by their reliance on processed foods. Through her expertise, she creates quick, nutritious 14 meals daily, helping people to transition into a healthier lifestyle. And as a dedicated home chef and enthusiastic recipe creator, Cindy is on a mission to help families eat more nutritious meals without frustration. Welcome, 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 Cindy. I am so happy to be able to introduce you, and I'm honored to be here with you. So what I wanted to do is start out by just I want to let everybody know, how did you get into this? And here you started something, but now you've created this collaborative. So we got to let the audience know what got you started in this mission of yours.
Well, I think I've been on the mission since I was 2. And what I mean by that is I really connected with the earth through a great aunt. She was in her 90s when I was very young, and she was living a healthy and vibrant life, and she ate flowers every day. And I still do that. I transplanted my first plant when I was 2, and I've just kept it up. So
Wow.
being
That
outside
is,
is where I'm happiest.
I can see that since you're outside right now with those beautiful, beautiful flowers behind you.
Yeah.
Um, and it's interesting because not only did you start very young and started just, taking on this way of life, but then you started getting experts together, which is really what's interesting. So tell us a little bit about that.
So I found that I've been composting my entire life and saving seeds and, learning about herbs. And then I found out that people who grow mushrooms don't necessarily talk to people who grow herbs, don't necessarily talk
Hmm.
to the people that save the seeds, don't talk to the people that actually grow the soil. So I said, if we're not talking to each other, how are we going to be able to message people so that they have practical, actionable information? Because I've lived in New York City, I've lived very urban and I've lived very suburban and rural. So I've been able, through my lifetime of experience, really say, I can grow anywhere and I can grow anything. And I eat flowers that I grow every day. But when I was living in New York City, that was a little bit more complicated, but I could still do it because I knew that we could start gardens wherever. And what's interesting is they have now figured out that if you have gardens, if you have places where people can meet, even in the quote unquote worst neighborhoods, the neighborhoods calm down. So to me, there is this emotional and mental capacity of human beings to really connect in a deep way. And in certain cultures, forest bathing and things like that, but you don't need a forest. You can have one plant in your house. So
Isn't that something?
this has to be started by the people that are expert in their particular, like you, Peggy. You help so many women. And that understanding that you have of emotions is incredibly important. And you're going to talk about it differently than I would. So, in coming
Exactly.
together, we can really chart the new way forward. We're in so many crises, right? But if we just keep looking back to what happened, 70 years ago with processed food, for example, ultra processed food. So now people are incredibly unhealthy when they're very young. We can make that change right now in every single household, but we have to help as experts.
I love that. And that is so true. It only takes one step at a time. You can't do it overnight. And when you have people like like the esteemed Cindy Ann Olson here that knows everything about eating flowers, but
There you go.
to know that you can have there she goes. What kind of flower is that? And what does it
This
do
is
for
a
you?
nasturtium, and it's doing very well, especially during climate change, because it's a vine. Vines, okay, they don't need to create the wood like in trees and things like that. So a lot of trees are having difficulty. So help the tree around you. But this is a seed that can grow inside, right? It's a little bit spicy, but it has a great emotional uplift. It comes in lots of different colors, and I put 20 in, and I've gotten pounds and pounds of them,
Wow. What is it
seeds
called
from it.
again? So the
It's
audience knows.
a nasturtium. But you can eat violets, okay? You can eat almost every single herb flower, and this is a geranium, right? Geraniums come in all sorts of different
But
colors.
geraniums were toxic. I
No,
didn't
the
realize.
the petals are not, okay?
Wow.
So there are so many different things. Now, when you start adding flowers or something unusual, I say that we should eat widely. But when you do that, you have to find out what works for you personally. Your diet is going to be different than your brothers or sisters, right? Even though you have similar history, you might be living in different places. You might have, different chronic conditions. So you need to eat for you. And the only way you can figure out the best way to do that is that you have what? You have the ability to taste, to smell, and to see how it affects you. Now, you have to identify the plants that you eat, right? So that is a learning curve, and you can't get away from that. I know that people say, oh, you know, I'll just, try this or try that. Be careful. And what you can do is take the petals and you can rub it on your skin and see if you have a reaction. Okay. Because your body also changes. So it might be fine for you one day and not so good the next day. But that's with any food, right? We have so many people that have food intolerances and a lot of people that are allergic, but not as many people have celiac disease, right? That's against flour, but that was really popular. Oh, I can't eat any gluten. I can't eat this. I can't eat that. Don't go with the trends. Find out what your optimum food intake is.
I think this is brilliant, but what I would suggest is that to the audience, listen to Cindy because you do want to really identify each thing before you decide to eat it. Is there a particular app or a book that where you can get it? Like if you wanted to start out, is there some kind of a thing where you can look at the picture, see the flower, look it up? Without going to the library and spending 5 hours looking for one thing.
Well, what I would say is I used to go to the library, spend hours and hours on a daily basis, but everything can really be found on the internet now. But I would
Okay.
not suggest to go to AI because I've actually tested this. And AI knows certain things, but it really wants to kind of make everything simple for us. And in that simplification, a lot of times it can give misinformation. So, what I would suggest is, for example, this plant, right? You probably
Mhm.
wouldn't necessarily know it because this is the seeds and the flowers of what I think is a very healthy plant, oregano. But we usually use the
Okay.
leaves. But
Hmm.
these flowers, even though they're tiny, they're delicious, right? So it's not just that you need to know what the leaves of the plant are, you need to know what the flowering is. And what I always do when I go and start to live in a particular place is to say, oh, this is where my oregano is. This is where my chives are, right? And I then identify what I'm going to be able to eat because both of those have nice flowers. And if I want
Hmm.
to eat the flowers, right, I want to know where they are and where they're going to come up. So I would suggest that you can go to a lot of plant identification apps, but go to 3 different ones and then see if they agree. And that's especially true if you're going to be foraging with plants that you're not really sure of and things like that. But all foragers, they don't tell you the secret that they know that plant is coming up right there.
Wow. Wow. This is so interesting. Oh my goodness. That is great. And I know you had mentioned you lived in New York City, and I think one other time I spoke to you about that, and you said you actually had like gardens on your little out on your porch type of thing.
Yeah, I had a small terrace, but I
Terrace, yes.
basically built up shelving, you know, and I grew all my own soil. I use the Bokashi system, which is a system that the Japanese actually take, and it really ferments it. But I wanted the fermented water, which was very highly nutritious, and it's a great fertilizer. Because I didn't really want to carry bags of soil or anything up. But the problem, and a lot of people say they don't like the Bokashi system. They like a lot of the newer systems, like Nature Mills and things like that, where you put in your kitchen waste and then you put the electricity on and it does it all, whatever, automatically. I like the Bokashi system because I don't just get the soil, I also get the fertilizer. But the secret of that is it ferments it. So it almost looks like the material hasn't broken down at all. You have to then put it into a pot, cover it with soil, and then you get the soil. So there's one
So
little
what
extra
is
step.
Bocacci? I'm not sure what that is, and I don't know that the viewers are sure.
It's
Um,
it's a system of composting, and it's in a
okay.
bucket, and it basically takes all the oxygen out. Most compost that's grown outside and things like that, you want to add oxygen in. This is a fermentation system which is without oxygen.
That is fascinating. Fascinating. Oh my gosh. Oh boy. You're going to have so many people dying to hear you lecture more and more for sure. This is so fascinating. Um, Now I know that you also do 14-minute meals, and I don't want to
Mhm.
get too far into that because that I don't want to take up all the time from what you're teaching us now. But how did you get into that? How did that
Well,
happen?
that actually happened during the pandemic. And I've been
Okay.
cooking very much since I was a very young child because my mother wasn't very well. And I would do a lot of after school activities, and I would have to have dinner on by 6 o'clock. So if I got in, I had to make sure that I had a 3 course dinner figured out how to present. And my father really liked dessert, so I would end up spending all the time on dessert, and I didn't have much time to make the actual meal.
Oh my goodness,
No,
that's funny.
so I had to learn how to, and I found out if you only use a few ingredients and you really just, you don't run around and look for all sorts of things in the grocery store and make this really complicated thing. You can do that for holidays, but the fun thing is just go in and make it as simple as possible. I only want to use one pot or one, frying pan or something like that because I would have to clean up afterwards. So I was
You were a smart kid, really smart kid.
so I've been cooking like this for my entire life. And I never really thought a whole lot about it. And I love food. I have one good meal a day, and I have done this through my entire life, and it's made me happy. And I want everyone to be able to experience that without the stress. And I was in pandemic with a pod, some other people, and they said, "Oh, I'll cook something for you." And 3 hours later, the food wasn't still there. And then when I went into the kitchen, I found out they used every pot and pan possible. And I said, "Whoa, what's going on here?" So I really created the 14-minute method just because people want to eat well and they think they can't do it. And that's absolutely wrong. The fresher the whole food, the easier it is to make. You don't have to eat Doritos and Coke. You really don't.
Really? This is so exciting. And I know people are going to be clamoring to get some of your 14-minute meal recipes because today everybody is very busy. I know myself when it comes to dinner time, I'm like, what can I make fast? Because we're busy people. So that is delightful. Now, I understand you have something you would like to offer our viewers today. And what is that? Do you have a
Well,
little freebie?
I do. And that's basically to have you go through a few steps to figure out your optimum diet. Now,
Ooh,
listen, a lot of people say longevity and blue zones and everything like that. The Mediterranean diet is the best. But the Mediterranean diet that people talk about with pasta and, kind of like heavy sauces and things like that is not the real Mediterranean diet. I've been to the Mediterranean. They go out foraging. They put in greens into everything. And that is the part of making food that is really important. They use garlic, right? A garlic is not only an herb, but it's also a vegetable, and it's really the only thing in the world like that. And it's antiviral, antibacterial. I mean, it helps with inflammation. So there's certain things that I like to have a lot of in my diet. Okay. And I would say that, yes, some people find that, a plant based diet, and there's lots of research, but it's not a plant based diet that is, okay, I'm going to have this veggie meat substitute thing that's also really, really processed. What is incredibly important is not that. What's important is having a diet that is what your great grandmother would have had. All right. Not out of a box.
everybody listen to that. It's so true. Oh my goodness. Out of a box.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. I cannot tell you how excited I am that you're telling us all these wonderful gems of wisdom when it comes to real food and taking care of ourselves and being able to eat healthy without going crazy with 10 pots. I so thank you for being here. And so you're offering the what are you offering again?
Um, basically, I can't remember what I named it, the optimum guide
Oh,
to
well,
personalized
that's
meals.
okay. Okay. So it's a
But the
guide,
other
everybody.
thing that I want to say is a lot of information is on the app,
Oh,
and it's going to
yes.
be continued to add on because all the experts are, there, and they have so many things in their particular directory listings. But we're all working together to make sure that you have answers to your questions. So when you go on the app, look at the very top, and there's like a little question with a little email, and that really does work. So just pop your question in there, and we'll be able to make sure that you get the answer that is for you, not what Dr. Google says for everybody. Okay?
Well, I want to make sure everybody knows you need to download the app, and we'll make sure all of the links that we're referring to are in the show notes. Okay. So make sure you get all those links because they're really important for you to move forward with all of us. But thank you, thank you, thank you, Cindy Ann. We are so grateful for your wisdom and your brilliance. Thank you.
Thank you.